I didn't have this program, I really don't know what I would do.
I've been coming here about 15 years because no place else to go.
Without Project Soup, sometimes I wouldn't eat.
I know I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the coalition.
I'm thankful for the Somerville Homeless Coalition, definitely.
I just fear that, as a society, we have gotten away from seeing how everybody in our community is important, that everyone counts, and that it's a responsibility of the community to take care of people who are having a hard time. Somebody gets in a crisis in their lives, and they may lose their job, they don't have any health insurance, they can't pay their rent, and they end up homeless. They just need some time to get back on their feet, to get another job, to save their money, and to get another apartment. Our mission is really to address the needs of these folks who are very vulnerable, who are not able to make it on their own for a variety of different reasons. And we come in and we provide the support they need, and in some cases the housing subsidies, so that they can live a decent life.
They're doing fantastic work in the city. It's yeoman's work. The Homeless Coalition helps to, again, remind people how important this issue is and how we need to continue to address it.
We opened the first shelter in Somerville in 1986 in the basement of the College Avenue United Methodist Church. When it opened, it only had 6 beds. There were 4 beds for men and 2 beds for women. Now it's up to 16 beds. And unfortunately, that doesn't begin to meet the need of the individual homeless people in Somerville. A year later, in 1987, we opened up a family shelter in the Grace Baptist Church in East Somerville.
The beds are filled consistently. On an average month, I get between 180 and 190 calls for beds. If I had 500 beds here, they'd be filled tomorrow. That's sad. The perception of a homeless person is probably he's dirty, he's drunk, and he probably begs for money. Now, yes, there are some like that. These are the chronic homeless people that choose not to live in shelters because they're afraid. We have people that, school teachers, doctors. These are the typical homeless person. You could be walking down the street and 10 out of 20 of them could be homeless and you wouldn't know. So it's not like the poor guy that's in the street looking for money.
Well, I ended up here over a year ago through a divorce. And now I was here for a whole year. I enjoy the coalition very much, believe me. They've been very good to me. Now I'm in Somerville. I have my own apartment, and I'm doing very, very well. Very well. And they're still helping me.
Project Soup joined the coalition in 1996, and Project Soup works with, almost 60 people a day in the food pantries and the community meal programs, trying to keep people who are still housed, with food.
I like to help people because I was on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I know what it is. So that's why I do it. We do about almost 300 families a month. We try to give them 3 to 4 days worth of emergency food. Balanced food if we can do it, which is the basics: rice, pasta, soup, peanut butter, tuna fish, whatever donations come in. Half of our clientele, when you break it down, is children. It's mothers with children or fathers with children.
I have 2 children. They're 7 and 14. I do work full-time, but, paycheck to paycheck, you're just trying to pay your rent and your utilities and keep a roof over their head. And if it wasn't for this program, I wouldn't be able to provide them 3 square meals a day. And so it's really essential for me as a single parent that this program be available.
No, I've never turned anybody away. Usually we're on a 30-day basis, but if they come in 2 weeks later, I never refuse, a bag of food.
If someday I do end up being in that position, I will definitely be giving back to Project Soup because of what it's done for me and my family.
We just did a census count of the number of homeless people in Somerville, and there are close to 250 people who are homeless on that night, and it pretty much averages that over the year.
The key issue that we sense is that there's not enough reasonably priced housing for poor people.
We now have about 65 apartments, that we're supporting. They're scattered all over. They're for both families and individuals.
My daughter and I were living with her dad and 4 other people in a very cramped area, and just wanted a change for her and I. When we got to the shelter, it was just like relief, like a sigh of relief, I think. You know, I didn't have to worry if people were using, if, you know, the police were going to come in because somebody had a warrant or somebody did something. It was safe.
We take time to really do a thorough assessment with everybody that comes to us and then try to connect them to the appropriate community resources.
They would help us basically with anything. Like if I didn't have food stamps or if I hadn't had any cash assistance, they would help me with that too. Outpatient programs, if needed, therapy for Alexis and myself. So there was like a laundry list of, you know, resources once we got there.
We continue to work with them on a daily basis in the shelter. Everybody meets with a case manager at least once a week, somebody who's really helping them plot this plan on how to address whatever their issues are and then move out of homelessness. We hope to never come back. Come back as a guest, as a volunteer, as a staff person, but don't come back as a homeless person.
We came in here, my daughter and I were like, oh my God, our own place. When we were in the shelter, I always promised Alexis that, you know, I'm like, I promise you by Christmas, we will have our own place. No matter what it is, where it is, we'll have our own place. And it was probably 6 months after we were here. We were walking and she's like, Mom, you know what? You kept your promise to me. She's like, you promised me we would be on our own apartment and you did it. You kept your promise. And it was just awesome to feel that. The main thing is like, every day, like I wake up and this is my house and I go to bed, you know, and that's it. Like I pay my rent and I know that like we're okay. It's not worrying like, am I gonna get into the shelter? It just feels good. It's just a big relief. I'm thankful for the Somerville Homeless Coalition, definitely.
We're fortunate to be in Somerville where people do care. I mean, the support that we've gotten for 20 years from people is just amazing. And they continue to support us, you know, on a regular basis. We're grateful for all the support we get. And it's an incredible range. You know, we have kids that are, you know, selling lemonade and sending us, you know, a couple of dollars in an envelope with a wonderful little note about how, you know, they want to help make a difference. We have wonderful business support from, you know, people like Ames Envelope that have sent us a check every month for 20 years. We have individuals, you know, who send us a little bit of money every month. Every bit of support we can have counts for us helping somebody get out of homelessness and get housed.
Most of the people who are homeless through no fault of their own. Those people, although they may not be very pretty, deserve the kind of respect from all of us that we would hopefully give to our own friends and family members. Thankfully, there are many dedicated people who work for Somerville Homeless Coalition and many other agencies throughout the city who take on that job. And it behooves us really to support them.
Look into what the Homeless Coalition does, understand what homelessness really means. I think if you'd ask the average person, they would think, well, it's the person panhandling for change at the T-stop or along the roadway or holding a sign at an intersection. They might think it's the average person down to his or her luck, and that's not the case. There are people around us every day. They work with you. You know, their kids go to school with you. They might be living in a shelter. Again, they're regular people like you and I.
We live in a great country. Everybody should have housing, some kind of housing. Nobody should go without food or housing.
The reality is that, you know, over these 20 years, we've learned the skills to know how to solve these problems. We could solve homelessness. We can solve hunger, but we don't have the resources we need to do it. And that's why, you know, we're going out more and more and trying to build relationships with new people because we need everyone's help. We can't do this alone.